Hello, folks.
Hi there.
So we're back from let's say, a longer um, vacation, Würfelcast
It's only
vacation.
1 week longer than normal. Uh,
Yeah, but still, it was uh,
okay,
three
we're
weeks ago.
back.
Was the last one? Yeah, we're back.
Mhm.
Anyway, so today, this will be the first episode where we will have different topics. So this is the first time. So I kind of changed, related some things. The new topics will be recent plays. We're gonna stick to that, of course. We're gonna talk about recent plays, but we'll get back as we had before. At the beginning of Würfelcast, we had crowdfunding campaigns to show, etc. So we will get back to that, and we'll also have a new interesting topic called versus the world. And when we get to that, we'll explain what it means. And of
Okay.
course, the topic of the day, as usual, today it's top 10 rules we hate teaching.
Yes, it is.
And I found this list to be difficult to make, in a sense. I'll explain that
You
later.
don't teach as many games as I do.
But yes, true. But I still teach a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure you
Everywhere
do,
I
but
go, I'm the only one
yeah,
teaching for some
I
reason.
understand.
Yeah, people
We'll
don't
get we'll
like
get to
me.
the list when we get there.
hmm Anyway, let's start with recent plays, and Kyle will just start while I set up everything else.
Okay, so my recent play is a second edition. So long ago, there was a game that I enjoyed, and I think I had one of the 10 copies in existence. It was very not a widespread game, difficult to find. And they, a million years ago, they put a Kickstarter up, and then, now 4 or 5 years later, they finally delivered. And the game is called Carnival Zombie.
Okay.
So you might want to find it there. Now, I'm not going to talk about a comparison between the two, although they're fairly similar in gameplay. The components of the newer one are much nicer, though. The old one had like cones and rods to represent the bosses, and this one has minis. Anyway, in Carnival Zombie, you're at a carnival in Venice. I guess it's the carnival. And, and all of a sudden, there are a bunch of zombies that show up. And so you're running through the city of Venice by day. The game takes place over 3 days normally. And each day you're going to move toward one of the exits. And then each night you're going to fight for your life to defend yourself against an onslaught of zombies and occasionally boss zombies that have special abilities and make things worse. The zombies are cubes that are drawn from a bag. And there are also some other things that go into that bag that can affect what's happening. And
Mhm.
you've got 6 characters, and they all have weapons, and they're all pretty strong characters. They can all do
Yeah.
some serious damage and all feel useful, but they also have a deck of special item cards that they can uncover as the game goes on, which makes them even better. So you're going to push back a horde, then you're going to run through the city again, you're going to push back another horde, and then by the end of that the third morning, by the end of the third day, you have to be at one of the finales. There's one where you can cross a bridge, there's one where you can get on a boat, there's one where you can get on an airship, and then there's one where basically the rules say you're not going to win, but try and stay alive as long as you can, and then it's an endless night. So you do that, and then you either win or you don't. The game has some interesting mechanisms, and you found the one right there. You have this, it's called the corpse pile, and every time you
Mm.
kill a zombie, you have to drop it, not place, but drop, even that you can just a little bit above it, but you have to drop all of the cubes on this pile. And if ever anything falls off, you're going to take damage, and those cubes go right back into the fray for you to fight. So
Hmm.
it's kind of an interesting way to keep things fresh. The game comes with a bunch of different shaped corpse piles that you can use in different scenarios, different characters, different bosses. You can play the game sort of the full way, like I described, or you can play just one of the scenarios, which is just going to be a few rounds. So there's a lot of sort of variety that you can find in this game. It's really very interesting. The rules are not great. I will say that it took a bit a bit of doing to get through and figure how things work. But anyway, I really liked it.
Yeah.
I played it a couple of times. It's I remember enjoying the old one, and the new one is much better, much better. And but hey, I thought this was a really exciting one, and I'm excited to have it back in my life again.
Yeah, I haven't played this one. I haven't played the other one. So I yeah, there's nothing I can say. This
I think you might have gone on to mute.
second. Do you hear me now?
I hear you now.
Good. Seems like I accidentally did something with the wiring here. Anyway, I don't know if you heard me. What I was saying is that I haven't played this game before, the older or the newer version, of course. And zombies, it again, I don't know if it calls me to play it, but this interesting weird mechanism when you say you drop the cubes, that sounds weirdly interesting. And everything
Yeah,
else,
it's
I
an
don't
odd dexterity element in the middle of a serious game, but it really works.
let's see. All right. Anyway, my recent play is the one I think I told you in the past days that I got this game. I played it, but it's coming out
Oh, I know what
officially
you
in
mean.
September. And that's Brazil. So I managed to get Brazil Imperial. I managed to get the English copy, not from Portal Games, but European, or I don't know, this Brazilian publisher. I don't know who distributed the English version of that. Whatever.
I know Portal is now, but
Portal was basically North American. Yeah, this distribution. That's what they said. Anyway, yeah. So this game is, you can say it's a forex game, in a sense. In the same way, you can say Scythe is a forex game. It's 3.5x. I mean, and when I say Scythe, when you play this game, you say, "Oh, it's Scythe," and it's really like Scythe. So this is the board where you are gonna build different buildings that give you production, and you also have armies and palaces. Palaces are basically built in order for you to uh, the get the special abilities or extra points or whatever at the end of the game. Uh, but here, the usual buildings and the armies march around. Some of them have special abilities, like the horse can take others with them. The monarch piece is the only one that can build cities, etc. So you are messing with this board here, trying to produce resources and to spend them to get all the different things out, the manufactured goods, um, what do you call them, the armies, etc. But let me show you if I can find the board. So not here really. Does not, but basically you can see the part of the board here. So these are the arcs, which are actions. And why I say it's scythe-like is when you choose an action, next time you must slide your token to another action. You cannot take the same action twice. Though the very first turn you choose one of there's two more actions, but the main ones, five, are here. You put down the token, and then next time you have to choose another action, and then choose another action. It's the same planchette that Scythe had also. Like you have always you have to always choose the different action. And yeah, and these actions are your usual stuff. Your build armies, get the combat cards, build the buildings, get the paintings. And the paintings are basically cards which are special abilities, or they make your things easy. They make your life easier on the board with the armies, etc. But everything you build, also, you can see maybe a little bit on the side here, on the right side, you can see those different shaped cubes. These are basically like upgrades in Scythe, where you put them down into the slots beneath here on those actions, and now the action is stronger. But the difference is these manufacture goods, these are basically one of the main actions. You can manufacture a good and then you improve one of your actions, and everything you take off of the board has points underneath them. So basically, yeah, you expanding yourself, getting army out, getting produce goods out, whatever, or manufacture goods, is basically getting more points. And of course, all the buildings give you points, like a points out game, yeah, in a sense that everything gives you points. It's very Euro-y. And you also go through different eras, which have basically missions. And when you fulfill the mission, you go to the next era. So in the beginning, you cannot really build. You can only build 4 different basic buildings, and then you go to the next era. You can start building cities, etc., and then you can start building churches and academies, and that give you the resources. There is a resource hierarchy as well. Uh, yeah, it's hard to explain. You have to play it. It is like Scythe. It's Scythe-like, moving slowly. Even in the combat, for example, if you lose the combat, and I'm not going to explain the whole combat, but if you lose the combat, your troops come back onto your planchette, and then you don't have to pay for them anymore in order to get them out. You can now just get them out for free. Of course, using the this is the first action, the deploy action. But yeah, once you buy them, they are yours forever. You never kind of lose them. They just go off the board, and you put them on the board. That's it.
So there are zombies in this game, you're saying?
Basically, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But yeah. The planchets are a little bit different for everybody with the requirement of cost for different troops, and the troops can be a little bit different in strength, etc. So, for example, uh, with these cities and troops and everything else, the weird part is that these are points at the end of the game. But during the game, these are combat strength. For example, if the building says 2 points, you get 2 points at the end of the game because you build the building, but it's also its combat strength. So, for example, if you defend that building while standing on that, you have a combat. It's +2 in your combat. So, yeah, it's weirdly interesting, and there's not much to say. I mean, is it better than Scythe? If you compare it to the basic Scythe, I can see playing both. If I compare this one to Scythe with the Rise of Fenris, with the expansions and all of that, of course, Scythe with
And
the
the
expansions,
airships.
and oh yeah, forget those. Yeah, it's of course Scythe is much better in that case.
Okay.
I hope they give more to this game, get some expansions out, because basically with your planchette you also get your color, you also get special abilities, like you get the leaders. Like here is Victoria, the other side has Napoleon, and they also have some kind of special abilities that you can use at some point in the game, etc. So this is cool, but I would like to get even more nations, in order to choose from.
Well,
Yes. Well, they're all the mechanism. It's a well-oiled machine. All the mechanism work. I like the painting cards. Let me just show you. No, these are painting cards. Uh, Basically, very colorful, by the way. Basically, they are boosting your usual stuff. What you're gonna do, they
okay.
just boost that thing, or make it for free, or whatever else. Like, for example, the academy is +1 point, which also is +1 strength, which, and it produces extra science. Science here is the most important resource, because science can be spent as any resource, even gold. Science is the strongest resource here, for example. So yeah, that's a good card. But yeah,
All right.
anyway, Brazil.
Yeah,
It's
I've ordered this one. I'm excited to try it when it becomes available here. So we'll see.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I'm hoping we get some expansions.
Well, if it's with Portal, there probably will be. I don't know about the other publisher, but they're pretty good at putting out expansions and stuff. We'll see though.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get to the next topic, which is crowdfunding. And Carl, why don't you start and tell me
Okay.
what you want to
So
show?
yeah, I will showcase this week a game called, and this is I think the third time it's been on Kickstarter. The game is called Ivion, Ivion, and
Where is it? Is it Kickstarter?
it's on Kickstarter.
Okay, okay.
And this is specifically I think it's Winter's Bite, Ivion Winter's Bite. So
E
let's see if you can find it. It's
I
a
V E
terrible search engine. Ivion.
Ivion. All right.
Mm-hmm.
There's one
Winter's
Winter's
Bite.
Bite.
There you go. Season 2, Winter's Bite. And you'll see there are 3 on the Kickstarter because it's been on Kickstarter many times. So the original version was came out, and then they made the first sort of I guess expansion, but it was almost a reimagining, which was not super compatible with the first version and kind of made people upset. But this is kind of in the same vein as that's kind of second edition. What it is it's one of those dueling mage type games that I so enjoy. But what you're doing is it's kind of an interesting game. So the game comes with 3 or 4 different boxes. I think it's 3. I can't remember of these kind of dual packs. But then you can, if you get more of them, you can expand. But really, you've got a board. You're moving around. Movement's pretty simple, and you're going to be playing cards, doing actions. You can do as many actions as you want, but each one costs certain resources, and those resources generally only replenish at the start of your turn. You can attack people to move down their life, or you can put control on them, and control basically prevents them from using certain kinds of cards. So you can get rid of the control by spending stuff and doing other things. I'm giving a very generic description because it's still in Kickstarter and I haven't played with this set yet, but it will fit nicely with the sort of version 1 set, and but not the original one, I'm sure. But then what you can also do is you can create characters, right? There's an interesting character crafting system where you can there's sort of some rules that you can kind of customize the deck that you're playing with. In a lot of different ways. It's not one of those expandable card games. There's not really going to be a lot more stuff. I suspect, maybe every couple of years they'll put out another 2 or 3 mages. But and it's certainly not the best in class, but it's really an interesting game that's worth trying. At least one of those packs. If you could get your hands on that and try and see if you liked it. I think it has a lot of character. It feels a little bit different than the other games of that genre, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So it's coming out, some point next year, and I will add it to my sets.
It's such a messy campaign they put here. I mean,
It
why?
is.
Like,
It's very difficult to figure it out.
like, okay, here it says why what you do in this, and then key features, and just what what is it? And just a plain.
Well, I mean, there are a lot. So figuring out the game is a little hard from here, but really, what's difficult is figuring out the pledges, right? I mean, what comes with which one. It's like, if you pledge this much money, then you get this added in for free, and if you're an original backer, if you read one update, you get this. It's kind of a confusing mess of a campaign, but the game itself is pretty good. It's tested. It's been out for several years. So it's something you could go and try if you wanted.
Yeah. All right. Whatever. Uh, so I'm gonna go. So mine is a little bit, let's say, different choice First of all, it's on GameFound. Oops, I'm sorry, I put the wrong. First of all, it's on GameFound, and secondly, it's not live yet. It's gonna be live in 2 days. But no, I just accidentally found this one. It's launching soon. Why not? Let's make a preview. But I just had to show it to you. So you can see this Robomon. Call it Pokemon. Because
No, if
this
you
is
do that, you'll get sued.
yes. So this is basically a like I'm gonna show you the game, but just a bit of here. But it's basically if you played Game Boy, Pokemon, Nintendo, Switch Pokemon games, this is that, and this is this Nemesis trick. Oh, Nemesis is not aliens. No, wink, wink. So that's the same trick he does here, and so this is a game for 1 to 2 players with the story mode, and you go and catch the the video.
Oof. That music
Yes,
sounds like Pokemon music.
yeah. I mean, you can create your characters, and you have these. You can see these are Pokemon, and you have the
No, they're not. They're Robomon.
yeah, whatever. Uh, but you can customize things, and
Ooh, that
let me
music's
turn.
annoying.
Yeah, let me turn it down. Uh, yeah, you can basically customize the things, and you have this book which you flip like a storybook, like Ryan Locke does, etc.
Okay.
And you have the QR codes as well. And when you scan QR codes, it plays the background music of that town or location, whatever. That's a nice touch. And there's meanwhile, oh, evil. Anyway, you can see it. This is Ash there, or not? No, it's not. Anyway, yeah, I like the I don't like pixelated art in board games that much, but I like the art style here. For some reason, it fits, even though it's Robomon. I'm still interested in this one because it just sounds interesting. It sounds like a said exploration focused, story driven, open world game of robot combat. So if it would give me the vibes of Pokemon games, why not in a board game? I'm interested.
All right. Well,
So,
I'll look into that one eventually, I'm sure.
oh, it has the whole page here. Okay, I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
didn't
it's
know that.
just it's in. Yeah, usually they do if you're into the preview already. But
You climb the ranks. You fight gym leaders. There are gym
mm-hmm.
leaders. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I like the thing here. So you have some like RPG type things and story. It's 1 to 2 players. Interesting how you can play
Okay.
2 player here as a co-op or as a.
Mm. Well, I guess we'll see.
Doesn't it say how much will it cost?
No, no, of course not. You have to wait until it's live before you find out that information.
Why? Anyway, yeah, that's it. That's
Okay, there we are.
Robo Pokemon for you. All right,
You
we'll
gonna
get
sing
back.
the song?
Robomon. Sorry.
Very well.
Let's get to another topic, which is VC or VS.
Versus the world.
VS versus the world. I just wanted to say something cool. Like I couldn't.
Okay. You failed.
It happens. Anyway, versus the world is the topic about our basically favorite games that we really enjoy. But when we go to BGG and look at the lower rankings, and we can see some hate towards those games, and so we each chose one game, and then we're just gonna go through those hating comments and see what people say and trying to counter them,
Yeah.
like a counter argument type thing. So, Kyle, why
Okay.
don't you start? What's your game?
Well, I mean, I figured I'd start at the top, which is Summoner Wars for me. Now, I will tell you, because of how Summoner Wars was published, it is difficult to kind of find the right one to look at. on Board Game Geek, right? Each, because of how that website does it, each of their expansion has its own entry. You'll find the only thoughtful comments you'll find are on the master set, not the Alliance's master set, but the Summoner Wars master set.
Mm-hmm.
This is the 2011 one. Yep.
So let's get to the lowest ones, if there's any.
Yeah, there's a few. I mean, lots of them are just people who put, I don't know, these people who just marked a 1. That's fine. The first one I really see is this one from Milano, sorry. And it says, the online experience destroyed the board game. It is no sense have the board game too much expansive for what is able to offer. I'm not sure I understand that comment, but
Yes.
but anyway, I mean, I actually really enjoyed the online experience for Summoner Wars. I enjoyed the tabletop experience for Summoner Wars. They both had their strengths, right? The tabletop version, you had more factions, right? By the time original version 1 Summoner Wars was all done, there were 40 decks. On the online version, there were only ever, I believe, 16. So, if it's there was more to play with, but the online one was easy to find somebody to play. It had a pretty good, easy system where you could find a random game, and it was a great way to do it. So I don't know why that destroyed the board game. I think it just made the board game more able to be played.
I mean, he basically means that he can play online instead, or they can play online instead of physical board game. Like
Yes.
in online form, it is much better than in physical. That's why I'm putting a 1. But if they play it online and they enjoy that, why do you put a 1 in a physical game?
It's it's the same game.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right. The next one we have, it looks like, is from Hungary, and it says, "Mage Wars kills this for me." Now, I wrote a fairly long piece about the differences between Summoner Wars and Mage Wars and how they're really kind of like water and alcohol, right? They may look kind of the same, but they're very different experiences. I like Mage Wars a lot, and especially recently, I have some kind of special connections with Mage Wars that I'll talk about another time. But really what we had here is, I mean, Mage Wars was very much a deck construction game. It was all about building your deck before you came in and then having the control to go after your opponent. Summoner Wars is really a hand management game with tactical combat. And so those, if you approach them differently, I don't know how they would be mutually exclusive, but that's this person's opinion. Yeah. The next one I think is quite funny, right? It says, yet another PHG game that was left behind and not supported. Now, I mean...
I have a question. How not?
I don't know how many decks they were wanting, right? I mean, 40 is a lot. I mean, this game was supported consistently for for maybe 8 years or so. They were putting out new content constantly, and now they've retired old Summoner Wars, and there's new Summoner Wars that they're still putting out content for. And to be honest, having played both games a lot, they're pretty much the same. So I really don't understand this comment. It definitely was supported, and it's still being supported. I just don't. I think that's baseless.
Yeah, so
also, I don't understand rating it a 1 just because it went out of print when he was trying to buy it.
Yeah, so let's just see like a 1, 2 more. Oh. This is good. 2.5. They put 2.5.
Okay.
Not 2, 2.5. So it was tiny bit better.
Mm-hmm.
This game is savorless. It is not beautiful and tries to be a chess-like game with a huge luck on the draw. No one I played this game with enjoyed it. Sadly. It might be.
That's that person's experience. I mean, people often do criticize Summoner Wars for its luck, but that's actually part of the game. Again, it's more of a hand management game than a sort of dueling game. And I think once you realize that, also because of the way the deck is constructed, you've got several copies of everything. So it's more likely that the things you're going to see are going to come up more often. But it sounds like that person just had a bad experience. I don't know why she tried eating the cards, but
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is just didn't like it. Ouch,
yeah,
this
this
game
person didn't
hurts.
like it. Hmm.
The other one says being a former Magic tourney player kills the game for them.
I do like the way the graveyard fuels spells, though.
Hmm.
Despise pretty much everything else. I don't know what's meant by the graveyard. Maybe the magic building mechanism, which is actually one of the core pieces of the game. Look, I think comparing it to Magic is going to be a very different experience. Those games aren't really comparable at all. So it sounds like the person was expecting something that the game was not offering.
All right. Anyway,
Anyway,
let's get to my pick as well. So otherwise, there are so many comments. I'm gonna go with stockpile because some people hate stockpile. It has less ones, but less ratings overall. So that's that. Um, Now there's a one their support has no response, so I cannot really comment on that because
yeah.
um and this one says an absolutely random game. And I was thinking about like in a sense then every game is random because stockpile um what stockpile does, I can see that you have partial information, that person has partial information, the stocks can go up and down, but you know those values. Even if you play with the
Hmm.
expansion and the dice, you have those in front of you. You know that the stocks, some stocks will go -2, some -3, some will pay dividends, some will go +3. You anticipate
Right.
something. You have partial information. You have one information, and you have second one in the middle of the board where everybody has this one. So basically, you have 2 out of 6 companies that you know already. So you can it's kind of a deduction. You can deduce that, oh, there's a high risk here because if this one is -4, it will go bankrupt. I mean, really cannot say this is absolutely random. I mean, yes, the cards go out, yes, from a pile of deck, and you put them down and then you auction them, but this is available for everyone. And yes, if you put some cards face down, some cards face up, it's all uh, player generated randomness. I feel, at least for me, it's not random
Yeah.
as a game. It's player generated. So I disagree, strongly disagree that it's an absolute random game. I mean,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there is randomness, but I think that randomness is part of the experience, right? I mean, you're signing up for,
for
you're
stocks,
going to draw some random cards. You're going to place that information partially hidden, partially not hidden. And yeah, I mean, the purple company might never have very many shares out there or whatever. But that's fine. They're not out there for anybody in that case.
it's
I don't know
skeptical,
that
yeah.
it's, I think the randomness is sort of a feature, not a bug.
Yeah. So the other one says nice ideas, but hated the game. Um, I hate shares both as theme and as a mechanism. All right, just not their topic. It's too random for me and for the length. I mean, this should have been a love letter length game. Uh, how? Why would you try to make stockpile into love letter length game with multiple rounds, best out of 5 or something? Oh, then it would be random. Then it would be love letter, which is random. That's where like, oh, whatever I
Uh,
draw, if I'm lucky, I'm lucky, kind of a thing. Uh, it's weird. It's. I'm sorry, this is a little bit weird comment from me. Stockpile would not work as a mini game length game
no,
because
it would be terrible.
yeah, it would be like I drew this card, and if I'm lucky, it goes up in price. I win the game, whatever. No, the luck in this game evens out rounds through rounds as you're trying to manipulate your stocks and you're risking each round. So yeah, and then you wouldn't just watch how some people keep splitting their shares while others just keep losing it. Tough luck. You
I
didn't
think
buy the
somebody's
right shares.
taking the game too seriously.
Yeah.
Oh
It's a
well.
stock market game. Yeah. Anyway.
Huh?
Oh,
I don't think you should read that one.
yes. And look at that. Too much like work and real life. Not creative enough. I've seen this concept described in finance economics classes.
Yes.
Biblios does this much better? Biblios?
I've
What?
never really played Biblios, but I don't see how that's related at all.
Yeah, I've seen I've like watched Biblios, but I was interested in this game. But to be honest, is it like work? Is it like real life? That's where I didn't
No.
want to. I didn't want this game. As you remember, this the story
I
about
do.
how we got this game. I didn't want this game because I thought that it's like stocks manipulating like real life. Then I played the game. I was like surprised. It's not at all. It's just a fun fest. It's you are putting the cards down. You're winning the cards. It's so easy. It's so easy going. I taught this game to non-gamers. If it would be a real life type experience, they would they would hate me for showing them that game. But this game is so lighthearted, so light in a sense. It's easy to teach. There's nothing like work in this
Yeah,
in
and
this game.
actually, I think that's part of the game's strength, right? I don't love stock market games either, but this one is really very different. It feels, and I don't love auctions. I mean, it has a lot of things I don't love in it, but I really do enjoy the way that they combine and work together. And in real life, nobody just hands you a couple of free stocks every round. I wouldn't mind if somebody wanted to, but
Yeah. Anyway, let it be. So
okay.
we're not going to go
And
into
that first
threes.
comment, I do think that first comment's pretty valid.
You can read that. Hmm.
No,
Hmm.
I'm just going to assume that it is.
Oh, they're saying that something too.
Yeah.
That's all I can read.
Anyway,
Anyway,
we should move on.
we should move on. This is it for versus the world. We're gonna get back to the topic next time and see what else people hate from our
All right,
favorites. And I think we're gonna get to our topic of the day, which
let's
is
do it.
top 10 rules we hate teaching. Now,
Yeah.
I it's a weird and hard topic for me because I found myself not really like I don't hate teaching anything really, but there are just some. It's rather top 10 annoying rules or something like that for me. Sometimes I find it annoying to explain, or in a sense, when I explain it, people forget about it or they don't understand it correctly. I explain it
Yeah.
again. They still don't understand it because it's just an annoying rule, something like that.
Yeah. It's a hard top. I mean, this has been one that I've been wanting to do for a while, right? Because there are just some games that I love the game, but I know that I'm going to have to explain rule X, 15 or 16 times, and I kind of think, oh, I'm not looking forward to doing that. There are just some rules that every time I come to them, I'm like, all right, here we go, buckle in.
Yeah, I don't really know if I found all the ones that some games I just look at them like I remember there was something annoying, but I don't remember exactly. There's so many games that I forget some rules about. Um, and
Yeah.
mine list is not in like it's in order, but I wouldn't say it's extremely important if there's number 10 or number 1, whatever. They are all the ones that I find annoying. It can be more or less annoying as day by day.
Well, I would tell you the top five are much stronger for me, a much stronger reaction than the bottom five. But I actually had quite a long list.
And
But
yeah,
anyway, I guess we'll see.
let's get to number 10. All right.
All right. My number 10 is a pretty easy game. It doesn't have a lot of complicated rules, but there's one rule that nobody gets. And no matter how you try and explain it, no one ever quite gets it. And that is the game is Quacksalber von Quedlinburg. And
Mm-hmm.
the rule is that stupid bottle.
Hmm.
Because in the game, you start the game with this little bottle, and you can flip it over when you pull out a white chip if it would not make you bust. But nobody ever really seems to get that. And it ends up being something that is unused. And then about 2 or 3 rounds in, people say, now, what does that bottle do again? Uh, Again, this isn't as strong a reaction as some, but every time I get to the point where we have to talk about the bottle, I'm like, okay, here we go again. I think the fact is that people can't seem to remember that it's a weird thing, right? I mean, if I would not otherwise bust, I can put this chip back in my bag and draw a new one. It's not a major rule. It's a small feature of the game, but I do find it to be an annoyance when I have to teach the game.
Bottle. Yeah, I played it once. I don't even remember.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't like the
I've
game.
played it a lot more than once, so I've come across this experience
Mm-hmm.
a lot more times.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I think I'm not really gonna show you too many pictures stuff like that. I'm just gonna show you the game so you have at least some
Yeah,
visual what game it is.
I mean, it'll be
Um,
hard to show a picture of a rule.
yeah, my number 10, but yeah, my number 10 is from the game called Origins: The First Builders. It's a minor issue, uh, but maybe it's somewhere here. Here, for example. So I don't remember what these dice are, but these are, I think they're called
They're dice.
consular dice. What dice?
They're
Yeah. I mean,
dice.
like they're called something, and the whole rule about them is how you can put them in here. So there must be a closed kind of a district of 4 tiles, and depends what like. And when you put it here, it only activates the buildings surrounding it that are the same color. Though this agora is without the color, you can still activate it. And you also have to think about when you put those things down that at the end of the game you will look at the number on the dice, um, times the length of the tower.
Hmm.
And you can see I'm already struggling because it's like it does different things. I think it was overcomplicated. It would have been so much easier than, for example, that the colors of the dice here don't matter, at least something. Like you just put it down, you activate all the buildings surrounding it, done. Why mess up
Yeah,
with these colors? If like I do understand that there's a main board where you have the colors things, but keep it there. Don't then start putting these, oh, we have to match the colors. I have another one coming up with the same. Too much of this, I have to match the colors because people get confused and they forget about that. Because I
hmm,
had people like, this scores like that. Oh, it does not activate these buildings. Like, yes, I told you, but I can see you, you know, getting confused about that.
yeah.
Anyway, a little bit annoying rule that I
All right.
don't really like to teach. Yeah. Let's get to number 9. All right.
All right. My number 9 is kind of, I'm going to struggle to describe it, but the game is Five Tribes. And the
Hmm.
rule is the way that the slave cards interact with the blues and the reds, right? Because especially with the blues, people have a lot of trouble somehow under getting their minds around this, right? When you pick up blue pieces, you're going to multiply the number of blues by the number of blue tiles that are surrounding it in any of the 8 directions.
Oh.
And then you can add these slave cards to that multiplier. So you could, have it, 4 times 5 or 4 times 6. People have trouble figuring that out. Similarly with the reds, you can discard those cards to increase the distance over which you can do that assassination. And I mean, so the way that those cards work with the genie cards, that's pretty easy. People tend to have an easy time getting their mind around it. But the way that they work with the reds and the blues, as simple as it seems to me, always seems to be a sticky point for people. And it's something that just keeps having to be explained and explained. Again, particularly with the way that the blues work.
Yeah. And by the way, just to say that these cards were replaced by fakirs, I think.
Oh, well, no, I have one that has the slaves, so that's mine.
Just to be sure. It's a
There's
sensitive
one.
topic. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I don't remember exactly, but it sounds confusing. It sounds like that, yeah, definitely.
It's just, again, I mean, these are not games I hate. These are just rules that are part of games that I like that I don't like teaching.
Mm-hmm. So for my next one, let me just, I'm sorry, here. I have the game called Off the Rails, and it's, I would say it's a rule, but it's a whole section, and it's all about how the cards, and these are like cards, how they collide, and if they collide like facing each other, this happens. If they collide, that one is on the side, the other one just bumps into it, this happens. If they collide with their bumps, whatever, it's like the whole colliding rules page, whatever. There's a lot of that colliding rules, exceptions kind of thing. What happens, like in this case, this card is off the rails, this card stays on the rails. In this case, this card drops all their crystals from the card, and the other one drops only one, whatever. It's, I don't remember exactly, but it's confusing. And when I explain them, like, when that happens, let's then read and see what we have to do.
Right.
But sometimes people want to know that, because colliding is part of that, because you want to sometimes run into somebody so they lose the crystals, whatever, but you don't. Oh, but when I ride into them, will I also lose crystals? I don't know. Let's read the rule book again. Yeah, it's an annoying rule to explain. I just say that don't bother yourself. Let's just play. Let's just see what happens. It's like the same with I didn't put Nemesis on my list because Nemesis is everything. It's the whole game.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Where I'm just explaining the basics, and then I'm like, when we get to this, I'll get the rule book. We'll go through that. When we get to that, that's how I played it, and people usually are like, okay, good, yeah,
we'll
like
I agree.
That way. Then I don't have to teach everything. Yeah. Oh, I should. No, it's not. No, I thought I should have put the Nemesis, the back development rule, but I wouldn't say it's
that rule is rough, but you don't really have to teach it. Just one person has to understand it.
Or just watch the reference in the rule book, and that's it. Yeah. Anyway, that was my number 9. Let's get to number 8.
Oh. All right, my number 8. So again, it may seem like it's a pretty simple game or a pretty simple rule, but the game is ganz schön clever, which is a dice game. It sort of, I won't say that it started the roll and write craze, but it definitely monopolized it. I mean, there were lots before that and lots after, but this is one that really has, at least locally, taken a lot of space in this rule, in this world. And there are 2 additional versions that are the same game with slightly different scorings. But in the game, each die corresponds to a different section of the scoreboard. Orange goes with orange. Yellow goes with yellow. Purple goes with purple. And then you get to blue. And blue goes with The blue die rule is just very difficult to explain and difficult for people to understand, because when you use the blue die, you add the blue die to the white die and then mark them both off. So in this game, so for blue only, you have to say, okay, I know I pay attention to the blue, but I also pay attention to the white. Or if I use it white as if it were blue, because white is wild, then I pay attention to these both dice and I add them in. And it's it's for some reason, for such a simple concept of adding, in this case I can see on that picture 5 plus 2, it's something that just seems to trip people up. It seems to be a bit of a murky pool you have to swim through on your way to playing the game, and the rest of the game is pretty straightforward. So that's the rule that I don't like teaching, the blue die rule.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember if I played this game. Maybe not. So yeah, yeah. I don't think I played this one. I played something
Okay.
else which is similar. Okay. Anyway,
Well,
yeah.
I'll teach it
Yeah.
to you someday, and you can learn the blue die rule.
No, please, no. I beg you. Um. So my number 8 is the other one, which I feel like don't go crazy with colors. Black Angel, and
The
um,
whole
I,
game.
yeah, I call it the same color rule, but mostly where it is really annoying is on this the space board where you people always forget that, oh, this is the same color as I chose this color in the beginning, so I have to go to the planet or whatever it is, like this spots, colored spots on the outer space. It must be the same color as well. They always forget that, and then I have to play the same color card there as well, and it's confusing. And they do the wrong calculations, and then they're like, and I'm like, I'm sorry, you cannot do that. Why? It must be same color, same color, same color. All the colors are same color. One color rules them all. Anyway, yeah, it's just an annoying rule to teach and to remember. And yeah, it's not in. I mean, it should be easy, you know. Everything's the same color. It's not
Hmm.
intuitive at all.
Yeah,
I don't know
I
why.
that, I didn't think about this just because I don't play the game as much as you do, but I definitely agree. This game has a lot of kind of rules that just require an extra spin to get them to to
Yeah,
get going.
where you take your robots from, exactly. Well, yeah, it's a harsh game, rules wise. Like when you teach it, I just don't like teaching this whole game, to be
Yeah,
honest. But
understood.
I try
Okay,
to squeeze the rule in.
that's fair.
Let's get to number 7.
Number 7. Number 7 is from a game that I quite enjoy. It's one I haven't played for a while, and it's an older game. It's been out for a long time. The game is Small World,
Hmm.
and the
Mm-hmm.
rule is one particular. There's a bunch of different races in the game, and they all have a special ability. And the uh, the special ability for the sorcerers is a weird one. It's written weirdly in the rules, and it's a weird one to explain. Their ability is that if there is a sorcerer in a region adjacent to exactly one active token, they can replace that token with one of their sorcerers once per opponent per turn. And so they're kind of spreading out, right? They're turning other pieces into their own. But it's such a weird way to phrase things. It's a weird, very situational rule. And there's a lot of exceptions, right? It doesn't work on races that are already in decline. It's it's just a very unusual rule, and I find that it's a hard one to get people to understand at the beginning, to the point that if the sorcerers come out early in the game, sometimes I'll pretend I didn't see them and move them to the bottom of the pile, just because some of the others, especially for learning games, are a lot more easy to understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've played it long time ago, the underground one, and I actually didn't like the game that much, so can't really comment on
Okay.
that.
Well, the sorcerers aren't in the underground one, but fair enough.
Hmm. My number seven is from the game called Underwater Cities, and um, I find it difficult to remember each time, and kind of I don't know. It's not intuitive as a rule, yeah, because what I'm talking about is building, where you can build the cities, how you can build the tunnels. So tunnels, you can spread them out. Like you can start building the tunnels. It doesn't matter if there is a city next to a tunnel. I mean, like you can, you can build the tunnels as you go. With the cities, you have to build the cities next to each other. They have to kind of spread out. It's you cannot build the city in that corner, then the next one in the other corner. They're not connected. But you can also build the buildings on when you have the connection with the tunnels. Am I right? But it doesn't need to have a city. But you can still build the buildings there. It's unintuitive. It's weird. Why do you build buildings? Like I know why, because sometimes you're stuck. You couldn't not build the city, but you can build the buildings in advance and then build the city and then
Yeah.
blah blah. You get the benefits of the buildings. But if you build the buildings there, they're just empty buildings without the city. They don't have power. You can see this is each time I have to reread the rule about that, and when I explain that, it's unintuitive. Like I had people like, oh, so I can build the buildings on these empty spots without the city. Yes, you can. Oh, I didn't know that. No, I explained it to you, but yeah, I understand that it's and then the tunnels I don't have. Oh, I can build them as without any cities or buildings. I can just build the tunnels till whatever end. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
it's like every building aspect here is differently interpreted or something like that, if you understand
It
my
is a
concern.
weird one to kind of. The distinctions are odd and they're difficult to remember, even for someone who's played the game a lot of times.
Yeah, if you I think you understand me on what I mean with the
Yep,
connection
I
building.
do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, let's get to number 6.
Number 6. All right. So, my number 6 is for a game that I don't think you have played. In fact, I'm pretty sure you have not. The game is Great Western Trail.
My
And
favorite game.
there are a lot of pieces of this game that I don't love teaching. I love playing, but the one that just seems to trip people up and it's the one I kind of dread when I'm teaching the game is building costs. So in the game, you're buying. One thing you can do is buy buildings, and each building has a cost to it, which is a number of workers that you need to have on your board in order to build it. And then what you're going to do, though, is when you do the building action, the cost is going to be the number of workers that are required for the building times $2. So if the building required 2 workers, you would have to pay $4. Now you can also upgrade buildings. So if you had one that required 2 and you want to upgrade it, and you have from a 2 to a 3, for example, you'd only pay the difference. 1 additional worker is required, therefore it's $2. But the way that it is depicted on the board is very unintuitive, and the way that it kind of all works is really, I don't know, it's a little bit clunky in this game that's otherwise pretty straightforward, and people have the hardest time understanding what the cost to build workers are. First of all, it's not how many workers you're missing, it's how many workers would always be required to build that building. And that just seems to trip people up every single time.
Yeah,
To the
you
point that
explain.
people don't use the workers and don't use the buildings because they're like, okay, that's too complicated. I'm going to focus on cows. Cows, I get.
Oh, I see. Because well, yeah, as you explained it to me, I lost my focus while you were explaining this thing, and I don't really understand how the buildings work.
Oh, you've never played the game though, so. Um,
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, like,
but you
as
know
you,
that when you learn it, you're going to say, okay, I've got to pay careful attention to this building rule.
Yeah. All right. So my number 6 is from the game that we both love. It's Silver. And let's, from now on, if we play the game, let's try to guess what is the annoying rule. So you also played Silver. I mean, take everything like silver daggers, silver whatever, uh, coin, bullet. I mean the whole silver thing because they are the symbol.
It's got to be the zombies.
Yes, yes. I think the zombies is in the silver
It's called a dagger.
dagger. I think yeah, the last one. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, zombies. I mean, like to be honest, I with this game there are cards. The cards say something like in short way. Then you look at the rule book and the reference for each card, and the reference is like the whole page long for some of the cards, and
Especially this one.
It's annoying. Like for example, with some people they wanted to know how these cards interact, and I had to explain every one of the cards that we used in that game, and it takes a ton to explain them. Sometimes like let's just play. If you draw this card, if it feels weird, we'll see. Anyway, zombies. um the problem with the zombies is you can see in the background here, they have exceptions for other cards from other sets, quite a few exceptions, and they work weirdly. They cannot be on top of the pile except if they are the starting discard card, whatever, or if you take the card out of discard and now they become. Then, if you take the zombie, you cannot throw it out. You can exchange it, then you have to add it, but something. But if you flip it, then you can add it to the previous player's village or whatever. There's quite a few rules. So the zombie is very tricky. I
It
mean,
is.
I can just explain. You cannot really get rid of the zombie except when it's face up in your village, and
Right.
then like everything else, just whenever you see zombie, you cannot do anything. Just take it. but it's but I have to explain everything with the zombie because it's not
Right.
intuitive. It's just too long of a rule for such a simple card game.
It is, and it has lots of exceptions. In fact, remember when you were getting the game, I said, don't get this set first because of the zombies, right? This is the worst starter set because they sort of, when they're in the game, they kind of become the game. Everything sort of is about the zombies at that point. And I usually will leave them out if I'm setting up a set. I mean, I've got all the sets, though, so I've got more stuff. But if you were just to pick up this set, you're going to be stuck with them. And if it's the only set you have, you'll have a nice explanation of rules for games that you don't have.
Yeah. But I also do have all the sets. If
Yes.
you remember, yeah, Victor bringing them to me.
Right.
So
I just mean initially.
Initially I start with the dagger only because it was the only one available here.
Right.
I
Mm-hmm.
could not get anything else. So yeah, it was a little bit harsh, but because I played Silver with you before with the other
Mm-hmm.
sets, it was easier to get into dagger. So yeah, it's an annoying rule.
I agree.
Or power, but it's a rule.
It's a rule.
Let's get to number 5.
Alrighty, my number 5 is a game that you might have played, but I suspect you have not. The game is Space Base.
No, I'm not. Because I
All
don't
right.
like mushy chords, I think.
So in the game, right, you're going to get these cards, and the cards give you special abilities when their die is rolled. Except there are a subset of cards that have, so there's red powers, which are active on someone else's turn. There's blue powers, which are active on your turn. And then there are green powers. And green power cards tend to be difficult to understand, right? Because when you activate it, you put a charge on it, and then you can spend that charge later to do some special ability. And for the most part, that's pretty easy to understand. But there's one type, and they come up a lot, that has green arrows. So it's got double or single arrows. I don't know if you'll be able to find one
I found
searching
this
so
one.
quickly, but you found one there?
Let me zoom in here.
Oh, there you are. There you are. That is
Yeah.
the double green arrow. There we go. Or the double dice green arrow. So this is a rule that no one ever gets, right? No one ever gets. So in the game, when you roll the dice, or when someone rolls the dice, okay, that's going to be on your turn because of how it's facing. But when you roll the dice, you can choose to use the dice separately as two different numbers, or together as a combined number. And that green arrow, the double die green arrow, means if you chose to use the dice together as a pair, you can activate one space beyond what they showed. So if you can spend that that charge to turn your 11 into a 12, or turn your 10 into 11. It seems like it would be easy, but because it's different, because it functions differently than every other piece of the game, it does not make sense to people within the scope of the game. And I find that when I teach Space Base, I have to spend a lot of time teaching and reteaching the double die green arrow.
Interesting. Yeah, I can't really comment. I haven't played that one. All right. My number 5 is from the game called Escape: The Curse of the Temple. And try to guess. If you get any expansions,
I don't know what it would be other than the fact that y'all have to show up at the middle of the temple 3 times.
no, I don't like. Maybe it's not even teaching. I don't know, but I don't like the curses rule.
Oh,
Yeah, when you have to teach them, you have to explain them all, and otherwise, while you're playing the game, you have 10 minutes. Everybody's shouting, everybody's panicking, and then you get the curse, and then you're like, "What does it do?" And I'm like, "No, shut up! It means you have to shut up. Uh, don't talk. I mean, whatever. It's
mm-hmm.
like these are annoying things, and I think they are cool in a sense that at some point somebody's like just quiet. I'm like, what happened? And I see the curse there. That's cool. But on the other hand, it's a speed game where
Right.
everybody's hurrying and panicking and not really trying to concentrate on their own thing, and your mind is on these dice, and then you get a curse, and if you don't understand the curse, if you don't remember, like for example, if I teach you for the first time and I teach you the curses, you will just forget half of them, and then we kind of have to pause the game in a sense in order
Yeah.
for me to explain it, so it takes away from the experience. So yeah, it's an annoying system, or a rule set. I mean, I don't know how to put in rules, but I don't like teaching curses in Escape.
Understood. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, look, right? They are from, I think, an expansion, so you could
Yeah,
never
I think
see
so.
them if
Yeah,
you just had the base game.
yeah,
But
yeah.
there is nothing on them that makes it obvious what they do. I
Yeah,
wish
just
they had
why?
words.
Put the
Mm-hmm.
text on there.
Yeah.
Don't talk. Put your hand on your head. Whatever. It's everything else. Stand on your.
Right. There's a picture, but the picture is not intuitive at all. I agree.
No, it's not. I don't understand why couldn't they just the usual one do the text anyway. For example, this picture with some colored stuff coming out of your eyes. Oh, you need to cry all the time? What's going on? Anyway,
Okay.
I don't know. That's a weird picture. I know
Yeah,
what.
it is. Well, all the pictures are weird, and there is no easy way to get the information in the middle of a speed game to the point where,
Yes.
like you said, you pretty much have to say, okay, look, curse, we're going to pause it for 1 second. No one touch anything. Here is what we're doing. This is your curse. Live with it.
Yeah, yeah. That's pretty much this one. Anyway, let's get to number 4.
My My number 4 is a newer game. It is a game that I played a little bit on our most recent cruise. The game is Boone Lake. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you played Boone Lake with us,
No,
so you probably won't know what the rule is.
I
But
think it's the rule about moving your cart. No.
moving your cart? I
Yeah,
don't
you
think
were moving something there. I don't know, or
you
a
move a
boat.
boat, and the boat's
A
pretty
boat.
easy.
Uh,
No, that's
that's
not part of that's not what it is. That's just sort of the
okay.
you move down the road and take whatever space you want. Uh, what the rule I don't like is the way that scoring works. So in the game, there's going to be four. There are four scorings at the end of. There's four scoring moments in the game, and at each scoring, there's four different goals. And so you're going to look at these goals, and the goal might be, and it gets progressively harder. So the first scoring, it's a little easier, and so each scoring you're going to choose one of those goals to score. So
Yeah.
it might be, I don't know, have 5 coins, or have two houses out in the same region. Okay, so by the time we get to the first scoring, I have 4 houses out in the same region. But I'm only able to put my one chip down and score 1 point from it. And then the second scoring, I can't ever score that one again. I have to pick a different one. And the second scoring, I'm going to use my number 2 point chip, and I'm going to score 2 points if I met that goal. Doesn't matter how many times I met that goal. People always want to multiply, but no, you're getting a flat 2 points. And then for the three scoring, you're going to use your number 3 scoring chip, and you're going to get 3 points if you got it, or you'll lose the points if you didn't get it. And then to make things a little more complicated, one of the scorings is assigned to you, and whenever you do that, you get double the points, or you lose double the points based upon whether you've met the goal or not. And I find that this is just something that seems to melt people's brains. Everybody wants to multiply. You think, okay, well, I've got it 4 times. Why don't I use my 4 chip and I'll multiply that? Nope, it's always the first scoring, you use the one. I mean, the rules are pretty simple, but everybody wants to add rules to those rules that makes teaching this thing just really very messy. It's often the first thing I will teach. I will say, okay, we're going to sit down and we're going to hash out this scoring right now, because to make it even better, the very first time when you set up the game, everybody gets 2 of them and chooses one. So everyone kind of needs to understand what they are going to be in order to make an informed choice. And it just, I really, I like the way that the mechanism works. I just don't like explaining it to people because it just never sinks in until about the third scoring.
Mm-hmm. All I heard right now is points, 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 points. I didn't really
Hmm.
understand anything. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's an annoying rule that I
Yeah.
hate teaching. But when you play Boone Lake, I'll explain it to you very well.
Yeah. So my number 4 is a game called Just One. And by the way, just a small side story that I had. So we went out with friends to a beach basically, and like a grilling party, and and one person asked if I brought some, you know, games, and I had just one with me. I'm like, did you bring games? I said yes, just one. No, no, but did you bring games? No, yes, just one.
Who's on first?
We're gonna play just one. Yes, I understand, but what game it is? I'm like, just one. She was so angry at me. I'm like, I'm pulling this one out. The game is called Just One.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, that was funny. But um, just one, and basically there are no other rules. It's straightforward. Tell me what it is.
The fact that you only write one word,
No,
the
it's
fact that they knock each other out.
no, no, no. It's
There's
the
only like 4
fact
rules
of
in the
what
game.
you the fact of what you cannot or what you can write. The problem with such games, it's loosey goosey. And when I start explaining, people start, abusing the system. But can I do this way? oh, but this is really not. And in different languages, you can interpret these rules differently. And
Mm-hmm.
I've played in English, I've played in Estonian, played in Russian. So it's but this is not really this word. This is not really. It should be allowed. Like, but you know, the rules themselves, they kind of state something, but they go the logic of English language probably or something like that. So when I
That may
teach this
be.
game, I just kind of loosen the rules, or I just
Mm-hmm.
uh, do like you cannot say. For example, in rulebook it says you cannot say. I think the same family of like if there's a princess, you cannot say prince. Okay, prince, princess, but you also cannot say king or queen. Like why? A different word. I mean, like it's weird.
Mm-hmm.
The rules there are weird. I just say, how do you say the main part of the words? The
The root.
the root. Yes, thank you. So I when I teach the games in whatever language, I just say the root. Don't use the
Yeah.
same root in any way. That's it. Everything
Yeah.
else. And for example, if I say you can, and then I start saying you can use symbols like euro and dollar sign, whatever. You can use those. Colon. It's and then like, oh, but isn't it painting? But then I can paint an Eiffel Tower if the word is Eiffel, whatever. Like no, you cannot really. It. People start. When I explain, people start thinking how to abuse the system in a sense
Okay.
that it works. I don't know why. It just starts automatically. If
Okay.
maybe you didn't have such issues, I had it all the time. Everybody's asking, but is this allowed? But why it's not allowed? I mean, like,
Yeah. Well, we get some of that, right? I mean, I played the game a lot, but ultimately, I've learned that I just have to take a back seat on that. But people in English, it's always hyphenated words that people are wanting to, or two words that really go together, that kind of always come out together that they want to say as one.
yes, yes,
Anyways,
and that's the
mm,
thing. Like, don't remember exactly. Yeah, yeah. Everything you said, basically. Yeah, it's
mm-hmm.
and I went into the forums of this game, and you could see a lot of people discussing: Is this allowed? Is this allowed? It is annoying. It is. I don't like
Mm-hmm.
teaching just one. I have to kind of
Okay.
house rule it in a sense. Yeah.
Fair enough. All right.
Let's get to number 3.
Let's go. Okay, my number 3 is another game that you have not played, I'm pretty sure. I would be very surprised if you had played this game. And if you have and you haven't told me, I'll be angry at you. Um, the game is Cloudspire.
No, no, it's everybody has the same
So,
here.
Cloudspire is a big game to teach anyway. But there's one rule. There's one unit with a special rule. The unit is called the Elfenkaze. And if you were to Google Elfenkaze, the first thing you will see, the first thing that comes up is how do Elfenkazes work? Because
What?
this one unit is the most complicated unit to use in the game. It's a small hummingbird, and it has to like live on somebody's. It can live on these one guy's head in a nest, or it can live in a tower.
How do you spell that?
And Elfinkaze.
Kaze.
Mm-hmm.
Elfin Kaze.
Elfinkaze, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The first thing, how do they work? Um,
And how to
because
deploy
it's,
in the
I
in
mean,
solo mode. Okay.
it,
Hmm.
it- I mean, all everything about it is going to be about how does it work, because it is just, even if you start looking at that, that is the explanation of this one word. And then there's a bunch of related articles about how its
Mm.
other ability works. This unit is so unintuitive. It has to move from place to place. It moves for free, doesn't, and it moves before other stuff, but after these things. And then if it doesn't reach a nest within one turn, it's fine. But if it doesn't reach a nest within 2 turns, then then another thing happens, and it can blow itself up at certain points. But if you chose the other side of it, then it can't, and instead it does something else. It's just in an otherwise pretty amazing game. This unit makes me not want to even. So there's 4 factions in the base game, and because of this unit, I often, won't even bring out one of the 4, just because I know that people are going to wonder what this thing does, because I even wonder what it does, and I've played the game a ton. It's just such a complicated, convoluted unit that I just almost wish it were not there.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Not really any comment here.
I did not expect you to have a comment, but again, this is the rules I hate teaching, and this is the next 3 are way up there for me.
Yeah. Sorry, this was Kyle's number 3. I forgot to put this
Yes,
one down.
it was.
My number 3 is from the game called Insider, and we think it is.
Insider has to be the way that the voting cycle works.
Oh, yes. So basically, the whole concept of an insider is also kind of unintuitive. It's like a trader, but really a helping trader.
A helpful trader.
It's hard, a helping trader, yeah. It's hard to play insider, especially the first time. But now the voting is like whoever guessed the word, you vote against them with thumbs up or thumbs down. If majority says thumbs up, we vote them out. They reveal themselves, and if it's insider, we win. If it's not insider wins instead. Whatever, all of this.
No, we go to a second round.
no, yeah, sorry, yeah. I mean, like the first thing, yeah. If we don't vote, like I said, if you will vote up and you reveal them with the majority, then the game ends. But if you vote down, you don't vote for them, then you go to the second round, where now we still discuss, and then we have to point the finger, whoever has the majority of a finger. But if there is a tie between those, then the one who I think guessed the word can break the tie.
Break the tie. Mm-hmm.
I like Uncle Roger says, hi. It's so annoying to explain.
It is a rough rule to teach, and it's one that people struggle with even after having played the game a couple of times. Yes. Even though it's a very easy concept, it's like, okay, so we vote. All right, so this vote is for
why
this.
Why do we vote for them? Yeah, I'm like, why do we vote for them? No, it's because they guessed the word.
Mm-hmm.
No, but shouldn't we, like, if we vote? No, I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that. Anyway.
Yeah. It's one that you kind of always have to stay on top of.
Yeah. I played this game a ton, so
so
I can just manage, that's the thing. All right, let's get to number 2. It should have been a great segue. 2-2, and then you say, I have a train game.
This is not a train game. This is a game that, again, I suspect you have not played, although it's an amazing game.
I don't play
but games. This game is Twilight Struggle. So I don't think you'll be able to guess what the rule is, but there are... this is one where when I'm teaching the game, I say, okay, you need to know that this thing is in here, but you're probably never going to want to use it. So on your turn, you've got a couple of different actions, right? You can have a coup, you can spread your influence, or you can try to go to space, or the fourth one is what's called a reinforcement roll. And the reinforcement roll is a convoluted process. Basically, both players roll you pick a country where your opponent has influence. Both players roll a die, and then you modify your die result. The person with the most influence in the space gets a +1. The person you get a +1 for every controlled space that you control next to the territory. Your opponent gets +1s for things they control. Then you subtract the modified die results from each other, and the person with the higher one will take the person's that difference will take that person's influence out of the country, and you get a number of reinforcement rolls equal to the value of the card you play. And it's such a process that, and it's rarely useful. It's useful when it's useful, but it's rarely very useful, that I just don't want to teach it. It's something that nobody ever really remembers. And then halfway through the game, they're like, what is this card says reinforcement roll? What's that again? And it just ends up being a bit of a mess to teach in a game that's already full of a lot of rules and has a lot to process. So it's one that I always dread having to explain reinforcements, just because nobody ever gets them, nobody remembers them, and I find, especially with newer players, nobody ever uses them. So it ends up being a lot of work to teach something that has very limited utility.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But it was definitely one of the three things I thought of immediately when making this list.
Yeah. So mine two, like, so my number two, but yeah, my second and first one that I have here are the ones, yeah, I also thought about, but then a few others came up, like Silver Zombie. Eventually, I figured out, but
that sounds like a good game, Silver Zombie.
But this one, so this game came up first, to be honest, and it's from Stockpile. And if you can tell, what's the
Stockpile?
It is annoying.
Is it the? Always... I'm trying to what? Is it the stock splitting?
Yes, it is, because people don't really understand how it works until I get all the money, and they're like, no. I explain it to them, but it's this is like, you explain everything in this game pretty easily. This that. But okay, so there's a little bit annoying, like one face down, one face up. Just don't forget. This is just about the memory. Like, people sometimes forget. Whatever. But the splitting rule is, if the token reaches the splitting, then all the shares on your left are going to your right on the planchet. But people usually also keep the cards in their hand all the time. So I'm like, put them down. You will confuse them with your right and left pile. And but they're constantly, it's just intuitive that you take cards into your hands. But some of them, they just separate the hands and piles, whatever. But if if the stock was already in the split, instead of splitting again, it gives you $10,000, whatever, money, and for each of those stocks. And then after you get that, then you slide the newer ones that were on your left to your right. It's a process. You do this and that. Don't do it in other way, because you will get confused and then you get too much money. And everything. Like, when the split comes, and then with the split, if it moves +4, if it moves on the split on the first move, then it goes into the same shaped circle or whatever rectangle, and then it moves the other 3 spots. All of this splitting, it has this kind of a overwhelming, kind of annoying aura around it. And because with the splitted cards, I also say, no, you don't have to sell them for twice the price all the time. You can sell them for the price of 1 and then return them to the left side of the pile. So everything with this splitting is complicated compared to everything else in the game. The splitting makes it more difficult to explain.
It does. I understand that. I agree with that.
Yeah, that's my number 2.
Yeah. Okay.
And finally, just a moment. And finally, number 1.
Number. Whoa.
That was really fun how you said number and then
Whoa! And then you cut me off. Very nice.
yeah.
All right. My number one, easy for me. I mean, this is a game I teach a lot more than. Look, this is a game that is a rough game to teach. I don't think you've played it. I think we've talked about how you haven't played it and that you probably should play it, but for some reason you've never gotten around to it. The game is Root.
Yeah.
But this is like the poster child for a rule that I hate teaching, and that is the rule of crafting.
Hmm.
So Root is a game where every player is going to have a set of different rules that they're following. So we're already in some kind of unsure territory. But in Root, there is a mechanism called crafting. And what that means is taking a card from your hand and putting it on the table in front of you to activate whatever special ability the card has. It could be giving you some points and a little token. It could be giving you some sort of special ability. But the problem with the cards is that the cards have a lot of different information on them. There's 4 suits in the game: mice, rabbits, foxes, and birds. And that suit information is up at the top. And then at the bottom is the information about what it costs to craft the card. It might say, for example, 2 bunnies. And what that means is you have to have your crafting building in 2 bunny clearings. So, I mean, you could have 2 in 1 bunny clearing, or 1 in 1 bunny clearing and 1 in another. And then during the crafting phase of your turn, and each character has one, you're going to be able, if you meet that requirement, to play that card. Now, it seems conceptually very easy for me, but because the suit at the top of the card is often different from the suits that are required to play the card, it really trips people up. Also, the term crafting in a game that already uses terms like build, that tends to make people think, okay, well, what's the difference between building and crafting? And craft is, a defined term. It means very specifically playing the card to the table. No one ever gets it. No one ever understands it. It's mostly, I mean, I have to use examples lots of times when teaching the game. And again, it's one extra rule that you would think is very simple on top of a game that already has a lot going on and a lot of people, already having their own specific rules. And it really makes the game painful to teach sometimes, is this crafting rule.
Yeah. I couldn't find any cards here. Anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't
this
matter.
Game is annoying as it is. Asymmetry.
Well, it's not annoying. It's a fantastic game. It's just annoying to teach.
Yeah. All right. So, and yet again I forgot to showcase that it was your number 1. But
do I have to start again?
Yeah, that's a small thing. Anyway, my number 1 is from a game called Abyss, and you can include all the expansions as well. So, what do you think is the most annoying thing in Abyss?
Let's see.
I was not nitpicking.
Is it the cost? Is it the cost of having the different number of the cost of those Lord cards?
It's a bit annoying, but it's not this one.
Oh,
it's
okay.
I would say it's a even bigger thing.
It's even more annoying than that. Is it the end of the game? Is it that you only get to keep the lowest card?
Oh yeah, this is also annoying.
A particular type.
No, but this is also annoying. Yeah.
Is it when you're going fishing or whatever it is that you have to let everybody jump in and buy something from you first, and the pearl cost increases?
No, that's rather easy. I mean, people understand it quite well. All right.
Is it the monster track where you have to move it down? And
I don't play with monster track because I have Levi. Okay. Monster track, right? It's from Kraken expansion.
I think you'll have to tell me what the rule is because I've already come up with several.
Yeah. It's from Kraken expansion. And
it's the pearls.
The pearls, the dark pearl. The nebulous, the black pearls or nebulous. So it's the whole rule set around them. So the first thing first, you have to always watch whoever has the most of that nebulous thing, and if somebody matches you, you give that statue around. That's the first thing around the nebulous, and then it's -5 points. But each of those nebulous in your cup at the end of the game is also -points, and they are related to the Kraken cards, which are basically wild allies. But we go further. How can you get rid of the black pearls? How can you get rid of the nebulous, and how you can spend them? Oh yes, you can spend them, but only if the regular pearls are gone from your cup. If you don't have any regular, you can spend the nebulous. But now you cannot spend more than one nebulae per transaction. And then, okay, so but can I use the nebulae in order to plot the court, basically add the lords? Don't know. I have to check. It's like, can I do this with this nebulae? Can I do this? Because this one on the picture it says the regular pearl, but there's so many intricacies, and like they are confusing. They are confusing
They
because
are.
you can, like, people are confused because, oh, I could spend the black pearl. Yes, you could, because you had to pay 3 pearls. You had 2 regular ones, and then you had the nebula one. You could spend that because then you spend all of your regular ones along with this one. Oh, but you said I can only spend them when I don't have any regular pearls. Yes, but uh, it's
Yeah,
it's
and
really harsh.
as annoying as that is, the kicker is once you've put them in the game, they're very difficult to take out. It's not like the expansions come with a little symbol where you could say, "Okay, I'm just going to take out all of the Black Pearl stuff." No, once it's in there, it's not easy to take it back out to teach somebody the very basic rules again.
Basically, you have to see what lords were by name and then take them out. But they're all related to nebulae. They all have
Yes.
nebulae powers. At least you can take those out. But with Leviathan, uh, are you sure you didn't have any symbol? Because with the Leviathan, you have Leviathan symbol on the
I know
card.
at least the original first printing of the Nebula, whatever expansion that was, did not have a special
Kraken.
symbol. It is very
Okay.
difficult to go through and screen those
No,
out.
I bought it when it came out, so probably maybe it doesn't have. I mean, the Leviathan, the second expansion, has the L
Hmm.
marked on the cards, at least something with the lords. Yeah, but as you said, there are quite a few annoying rules, like the only one I always forget at the end of the game, like no that you always keep the lowest ally that you spend on the lord, but you score only the highest, and
Yes.
it's a mind game. And the other ones, you said several ones, but I think the nebulas are the headache each
I
time you play the
agree.
game.
I had forgotten about them mostly because
Ooh.
I have just blocked that memory out. I enjoy the concept, but they become the game if they're in there, and they're very difficult to take out.
Yeah, you have to play the game through and get used to them, and then like, oh no, now I know when, where, and how I can get rid of them or spend them, or like, but we still forget checking who has the most nebulas or whatever. Like, it's
Uh-huh.
because I like, if you get more than me, then you get the statue. But if you match with me, I can give you the statue. Why match? Say more, more, more.
I generally just don't like
Or
when you
maybe I
have something to
confused them.
count
I don't know.
constantly.
Yeah.
Um,
This is annoying. Anyway, yeah, Abyss.
okay,
Let's say Kraken,
there we go.
but Abyss. All right, this is it for today's episode and the
It
topic
is.
and everything else.
That's right. So we're done.
So, so we're done.
I'll see you all again on Wednesday. Uh,
Yeah, I'm going to a friend's wedding tomorrow, so I have
oh,
to
then I won't see you
prepare a little bit.
tomorrow.
You won't see
Okay,
me tomorrow. It's not my
very well.
wedding, to be sure. Yeah, it's my friend's
Okay,
wedding. Yeah.
I
Mhm.
assume you would have told me, but have fun.
It's.
Anyway,
I hope to. I hope to. Yeah. Thank you for watching. We'll see you another time. Bye
sounds
bye.
good. Bye bye.